Not every story ends when the world is saved. Some begin there. Most narratives conclude with the defeat of evil, the applause of nations, and the heroes basking in well-earned glory. In Frieren Beyond Journey's End, that moment marks only the beginning. The Demon King has fallen, the realm is at peace, the mission is complete, and then an unfamiliar stillness. Time flows forward, companions age and fade, society adapts and forgets. And Frieren, the immortal mage who once fought alongside her comrades to restore peace, remains. Not celebrated, not central, but suspended in a world that no longer revolves around her. She begins a journey, not of conquest, but of contemplation. This is not a tale of vanquishing evil. It is an inquiry into what comes next, a deeply introspective exploration of what it means to persist after one's defining purpose has expired. Hey, it's Hollow Name. Today we are going to delve in the beauty of Frieren's premise. Frieren Beyond Journey's End subverts traditional narrative structure by initiating the story at the typical point of closure. The heroes return home victorious. The land rejoices. Their friendships seem enduring. Yet within a decade, these relationships unravel, not through conflict, but through the simple, inexorable passage of time. The death of the hero usually would mean the end of a story, the mourning of the characters being the last moment we spend with them, but not in this story. This moment of loss is not an end point, but a catalyst. Frieren's real journey begins here, one shaped by reflection and change rather than conflict. For Frieren, the climactic battle was merely a transient episode in a life that spans centuries, but for her companions, it was everything. Their youth, their meaning, their legacy. Once that purpose is fulfilled, what remains? Humans resume their lives, grounded in temporality, but Frieren has no baseline of normalcy to return to. As her companions settle down and eventually pass away, she continues, aimless, unmoored. Where once there was a goal, there is now only time, heavy, expansive, and empty. Frieren frames this not as melancholy for its own sake, but as an existential inquiry. What sustains us when grand narratives end? In most fantasy media, immortality is either a gift or a curse. In Frieren, it is neither. It is distance, temporal distance, emotional distance. Frieren outlives everyone and everything. Her reality is not one of expansion, but of erosion. When she revisits a town once saved by her party, she already accepted that no one would share memory of the events. No gratitude. Statues erected in their honor are worn and irrelevant. The people have moved on, but she remembers. She always remembers. And that memory is not empowering. It is isolating. It is grief without closure. Still, Frieren chooses to continue. Her journey northward is not about discovery. It is an emotional excavation. Accompanied by Fern and Stark, she begins to form new bonds. These new relationships do not replace the old ones. They evolve from them. It is in life's subtleties that Frieren finds restoration, such as searching for very special spells. Watch the romance between Stark and Fern slowly develop. A quiet dinner shared for birthdays. These are not scenes of grandeur. They are fragments of humanity. Through them, Frieren rediscovers what it means to care, to connect, and to continue. What makes the show exceptional is its quiet dismantling of the conventional hero archetype. There is no grand adversary waiting at the end. There is no dramatic build-up toward climactic resolution. There is only time, memory, and the smallness of human emotion. Frieren does not mourn Himmel through ceremony. She mourns through recollection, through recognizing his influence in others, through slowly understanding the depth of what was shared and what was missed. The tragedy of living beyond one's purpose is not in the loss itself, but in the delayed comprehension of its value. To live beyond purpose is to redefine what life means, not through achievement, but through adaptation, not by holding on to the past, but by carrying it with care. And perhaps that is where true strength lies, in learning to live gently after the story ends. But Frieren's path is far from finished. Her journey is still unfolding, with new faces, new silences, and new perspective into what it means to live after the narrative has faded. While Frieren's earlier journey was marked by regret over emotional detachment, the continuation of her path reveals an increasing emotional fluency. She begins to understand that memory can offer a form of connection rather than just sorrow. Consider her interactions with Fern. Their relationship is not just pragmatic, it becomes a quiet apprenticeship, emotionally as much as magically. In Fern, Frieren begins to see echoes of herself, but also of Himmel and Hyder. Through mentoring, she confronts what it means to be remembered, not just as a powerful mage, but as a person of care. In this sense, memory ceases to be merely a weight. It becomes a tool for reconstruction, not of the past, but of present character. What Frieren Beyond Journey's End reveals with remarkable maturity is that ethical existence in a post-purpose world is enacted not through destiny, but through choice, often small, mundane choices. Helping villagers for almost stupid spells, performing spells that have no combat utility, or simply acknowledging someone else's grief without offering a solution. These actions affirm that meaning can be found in the service of others. Magic in Frieren Beyond Journey's End is not just a mechanism for solving problems, it is also a narrative language. Each spell is tied to a memory, a person, a moment. The collection of spells becomes a form of emotional archaeology. Through forgotten incantations, Frieren reconnects with lives once lived, values once held, and emotions long buried. This recontextualizes magic as an archive, not of power, but of feeling, in contrast to systems like those found in isekai anime, where magic often escalates toward domination. Frieren's magic de-escalates. It slows down, it listens, it serves. The journey north is framed as a pilgrimage, but unlike religious or epic pilgrimages which seek enlightenment at the end, Frieren's progress is built in the act of walking itself. There is no climactic revelation, there are only accumulated moments of kindness, of memory, of reflection. The pilgrimage reframes life not as a series of conquests or losses, but as a continuous engagement with meaning. Frieren is not looking for closure, she is learning to live with openness. Perhaps the most underappreciated element of the show is how it uses companionship not for banter or plot mechanics, but for quiet reorientation. Stark and Fern do not exist to challenge Frieren's power or even her ideology directly. They exist as mirrors, as contrasts, as reminders. Stark, brave yet insecure, reminds her of what courage looks like in mortals. Fern, sharp yet caring, reminds her that maturity is not a timeline, but a disposition. In traveling with them, Frieren is pulled into relational time, time measured not in centuries, but in shared meals, quiet talks, and mutual understanding. A unique strength of Frieren Beyond Journey's End is its portrayal of grief not as a singular event, but as an ongoing state, a mood that colors everything. Frieren does not mourn Himmel with just tears. She mourns him through acts of memory, through recognition of his influence, through an emotional availability that deepens over time. This kind of mourning is deeply human. It reflects the reality that we often don't fully grieve in the moment. We grieve in memories, in revisitations, in realizing what we didn't say and what we now wish we could. In the end, the anime offers a vision of life that does not depend on victory, resolution, or acclaim. It offers instead a life grounded in ethical persistence, to continue walking, to continue caring, to just continue. That might sound simple, but it is perhaps the most difficult thing a person can do. To live after purpose is to live deliberately, not to chase the next glory, but to sit with the silence of what has already passed and to find, slowly, painfully, beautifully, that even silence can be sacred. While making this video, I rewatched the anime and I came to realize that Frieren's journey isn't to get to know Himmel more, because throughout the anime, the viewers see how much she already knows about him. The real reason she is on that journey is to apply what Himmel stands for. And in doing so, she teaches us something often forgotten in stories of heroes, that the truest kind of strength is not defeating evil, but moving forward.